The Philadelphia Phillies await for the Mets and Brewers to duke it out for the right to face them in the opening round of the playoffs, but there is another race involving this team that has not been discussed enough. In this video, I want to talk about why Zack Wheeler deserves the Cy Young Award over Chris Sale of the Atlanta Braves, dive into some of the numbers on why I believe that is the case, and shout out to the Phillies for making their case online. I want to highlight particularly some of the stats that they put forward and make a pretty convincing case. And by the way, I find out one thing about Zack Wheeler is he would have been on the mound with the game on with their season on the line in the way that Chris Sale was not for this Braves team. Now, I don't want to kick a man while it's down. I will put it all on the table that it does seem like Sale is battling some legitimate back issues at this time. He is not on roster for the opening round of the playoffs for him, which is a pretty strong indicator that this is more than just kind of, something, a lingering issue. It's clear that there's something going on. This is not something fake that Sale is dealing with, but really the conversation that I want to have is about the entire body of work. Look at the entirety of the season and why Zack Wheeler deserves to be the guy taking home that trophy. Now, before I dive fully into this full video, I do want to remind you guys to continue smashing that subscribe button. That at this point in time, 80.2% of you guys tuning into this videos have not subscribed to Phillies Digest just yet. We did reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the playoffs kicked off, so shout out to you guys for helping us out reach that, but we want this Phillies Digest family to grow as large as possible. So with that all being said, let's get into the topic of today, which is of course the Cy Young race here. Now, it has been talked about like it's been a foregone conclusion that Chris Sale is going to win Cy Young for quite some time, but I want to break down why that does not deserve exactly to be the case here. And I'm going to start things out taking a look at the stats. The 2024 NL whip leaders, Zack Wheeler right there at 0.96. Chris Sale right behind him at 1.01. Obviously, a ton of other talented names on the list as well. And we know who Zack Wheeler is as a pitcher at this point. On the season, in 32 games, he's got a win-loss ratio of almost 70% there. 200 innings pitched on the season. Ridiculous number there. Only 20 home runs allowed throughout the length of the season, while striking out 224 batters. So over one strikeout per inning for a guy who's logged among the most in the entire sport. Really impressive stuff there, especially when you factor in 224 strikeouts to 139 hits allowed on the season, a 2.57 ERA overall, and the 0.955 whip there. The stats speak for themselves in that regard, but the conversation we're having here is not just about how good Zack Wheeler is. That we know that to be the case from a Phillies perspective, that this really, I think you can make the case that he's the greatest free agent signing in Philadelphia Phillies history. The fact that this guy just walked over to the franchise and has very clearly become the Cy Young should be favorite in my mind, but one of the top pitchers in the sport, has been huge for this Phillies team. Now, when directly comparing him to Chris Sale here, start off with more of a standard graphic here. Their WAR on the season, Sale a slight advantage, 6.2 to 6.0 there. But Wheeler has pitched more games, 32 to the 29 that Sale has stepped on the mound for. All 32 games started and all 29 games started for Sale. Obviously, 200 inning pitches for Wheeler to the 177.2 for Chris Sale there. 18-3 for Sale versus 16-7 for Wheeler, although wins are a kind of flawed statistic when breaking down the Phillies, because when you do dive into the ERA, the 2.57 versus 2.38, pretty equal with a lot of these numbers here. But what really I think should be highlighting is the case made by the Phillies themselves. And shout out to them for speaking up on social media that they tweeted out this graphic making the case. Zack Wheeler with his 200 innings pitched, the ERA, we know all these great stats that we're highlighting, but they even dive deeper. 26 quality starts, which was the first in the NL. Opponents with just a 192 batting average against him, a 253 OPS, and a 581 OPS there, all leading the National League, in addition to the walks and on base average there. And we had a quote by Bryce Harper right in the middle here saying he's a Cy Young. I don't have anybody in baseball, and to get it exactly here, he's a Cy Young. I don't think anybody in baseball is better than him at this point. I don't think anybody in the National League either. I thought he got robbed of it 3 years ago, and I believe he earned it this year. And I do love how Bryce continues to stick up for his teammates there. That's been something that I think has really endeared him to this fan base, and something where he does put forth that personality and is outspoken away. Whenever there's something going on, it's Bryce Harper in the middle of it, and I do think that there is a little bit of a charm to that. Now, to continue on here, there's a couple more graphics that the Phillies did tweet out here to highlight these exactly. The Cy Young in his sights, this graphic states that Philadelphia right-hander Zack Wheeler finished the 2024 season with 200 innings pitched at 2.57 ERA, 224 strikeouts, and a 6.1 WAR. Wheeler currently leads Atlanta's Chris Sale and all other National League starters in WHIP, opponent's average, opponent's OPS, opponent's OPS, and opponent's WOBA. Wheeler has faced 85 more batters than Sale, 787 to 702, and outpaces him in opponent's average and all the stats that we just recently recognized. Now, it also continues with the section saying that innings matter, pointing out that Wheeler ranks second in the National League with 200 innings pitched on the season. and he leads Sale, who's 10th in that category there. They also go directly head to head, saying that Wheeler had the most 6 inning starts in baseball this year with 26, made 25 starts where he went 6 innings or more and allowed 2 earned runs or fewer. Continues the exact breakdown of Wheeler versus Sale against the NL Best, and it writes that Wheeler has made 9 starts this season against the Dodgers, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Mets, and Braves, all clubs who are in or vying for postseason spot. This was tweeted before things were finalized in that last game of the season here. And it breaks down that Chris Sale has also made 9 starts. Now, when breaking down these exact averages, Wheeler outpaces Sale with a 1.55 ERA compared to the 2.44 that Sale has put on the table. Also has more innings pitched at 58 to 51.2 and a better whip and a better strikeout to walk ratio with a 7.88 to 4.4. So nearly double in that category there. It also breaks down specifically the NL East. And it did not stop here. They gave us one more graphic to break down that I also wanted to pay attention to. And a couple key factors here that I think particularly pertain to this Phillies team. Number one, following a Phillies loss. In the 16 starts this season following a Phillies loss, Wheeler posted a 2.45 ERA, 28 earned runs, 102.2 innings pitched with 114 strikeouts and 26 walks. In his first 6 starts of the season following a Phillies loss, which was the August to the end of the season, he posted a 1.52 ERA, 7 earned runs, and 41.1 pitch with 49 strikeouts overall. These 6 inning starts, he finished strong to the end of the season. That was something that really impressed me. It felt like with Wheeler, and a lot of times when we're talking about pitchers, with the amount of mileage that are on this arms, as we indicated with Wheeler, the second most innings pitched in the National League, you kind of feel like they hit a wall at some point. If we want to look front and center and talk about this Phillies team, Ranger Suarez is a guy who I think is seeing kind of the downside of that it does look like he's dealing with a bit of a dead arm and does not have quite the nasty stuff that we saw from him to start the season. Then contrast that with a guy like Zack Wheeler. Feels like he's only got stronger as the year has gone on, and that speaks to the longevity of his arm and the impact that he can make. This is not the style of pitcher where he needs to rear back and throw it past you on an every pitch basis. He has that feel for the game. He has that pitch ability, and he straight up has the stuff, some of the movement that he has when facing batters there. And it is cool. We talked on this channel not too long ago about how Aaron Nola is one of kind of the unsung heroes of this Phillies team and really in Major League Baseball. I think Zack Wheeler is right in that same conversation, and it's very cool to see these two dominating the way that they have for this Phillies team. Again, we know what we have in Wheeler, but to contrast that with Nola and seeing these guys, these are two of the league's most elite, and right behind him in innings pitched with 199.1. Some really good stats all around. And let's not forget Christopher Sanchez, who will also be in the mix in this playoff run, and a guy who I think might make quite a name from himself in Phillies fans. He's been great all season. He is a guy that I think this is legitimate. He also has not cooled down throughout the season, that he has not hit that wall in the way that we're kind of speaking about with Ranger. It's going to be really interesting to see how Rob Thomson manages that there as we look to the playoffs. But for the short term, I just want to give the speech of Zack Wheeler deserves to be the guy with that Cy Young Award. I do think that there should, the voters, the people that are making this decision here, should weigh the entirety of the season, should weigh how Wheeler only got stronger versus Sale's body kind of fell apart at the end, and there really was no drop-off for the Phillies ace there. So shout out to Zack Wheeler for delivering for this team. They are not in the stronghold, the number 2 in the National League, without him producing at the level that he did for the entirety of the season. And shout out to Zack Wheeler for coming to Philadelphia in the first place, man. That truly was one of the greatest signings in MLB history. I might even go that far, certainly in Phillies history, for really just opening the door for them to be in this competitive window that we currently see them at. So shout out to Zack Wheeler. Hopefully the voters can get things right and he has a Cy Young case, because the numbers do speak for themselves and is a whole lot closer than people have made it out to be throughout the entirety of the season. So factor in the entire body of work, give Zack Wheeler some love, and bring a Cy Young to Philadelphia. Appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning into this video here. Once again, make sure you are smashing that subscribe button if you have not already. Let's keep this Phillies Digest family growing as we await for this final playoff push, see who wins out of the Mets and Brewers and who the series will be. I'm going to be here every step of the way right here on Phillies Digest along with my guy Luke Arcani. So make sure you smash that subscribe button to hang along with us. I'll be talking with you next time right here on Phillies Digest.